I was just trying to find something new to do. That was the honest truth. I had just finished a rough semester, barely passed my film editing class, broke up with someone I wasn't even really dating, and spent most mornings staring into coffee mugs like they had answers. They didn't. So when I saw the flyer pinned near the campus cafe, portrait study, male subject needed paid, experience not required, I ripped it down before anyone else could. I didn't even read the fine print. All I saw was the word paid, and something in my brain said, do it. What do you have to lose? Later that day, I got a reply to my email. Hi, my name is Clara. I'm a professional photographer, currently working on a minimalist portrait series. You have the right look. If you're available, I'd like to meet tomorrow. It won't take long. Studio address attached. See, that was it. No small talk. No over-explaining. Just a time and place. The next afternoon, I walked up 2 flights of creaky warehouse stairs and found her studio behind a weathered door marked only by a brass number 12. Inside, it was quiet, the kind of quiet you feel before someone speaks. The room was wide and open, lit by giant windows, with rolls of canvas leaning against the far wall, soft boxes mounted on chrome stands, and a couch that looked like it hadn't been used for sitting in years. And then she appeared. I didn't hear her come in. She seemed to emerge from the shadows near the window. Mid to late 30s, maybe. Tall. Dark blonde hair tied up in a knot that looked both casual and intentional. She wore black slacks, a gray button-down shirt, sleeves rolled to the elbows, and no shoes. I remember that part for some reason. "You're Nate?" she asked. "Yeah," I said, clearing my throat. "You're Clara." She nodded. "You're on time. That's rare." I smiled nervously. Wasn't sure if this was a job or an audition. "It's both," she said simply, then pointed to a small stool near the center of the room. "Stand there." No hello, no handshake, just direction. I stepped where she told me. The light from the window framed me hard from one side, and I could see her adjusting something on her camera. The silence stretched long between us, filled only by the soft clicks of lenses being changed and a quiet hum from somewhere overhead. "I don't need poses," she said, finally breaking the silence. "Just stand. Look how you look when you're not trying." I didn't know what that meant, but I stood. She moved in a slow orbit around me, barely making eye contact. Sometimes she tilted her head slightly, like she was studying the way light fell off my shoulder or the way my jawline bent into shadow. I wasn't used to being looked at like that, not by someone so intentional. At some point I asked, "So what is this for exactly?" She didn't answer right away. She just kept walking, kept watching. Then, "Trust study. What does that mean?" "It means I take portraits of people right before they stop pretending." I laughed, but she didn't. "So, when does that happen?" "When you forget you're being watched." I didn't know what to say to that. Clara clicked the shutter for the first time 20 minutes into our silence. The sound startled me, not because it was loud, but because it felt like a line had been crossed. The room wasn't cold, but I felt a chill slide along the back of my neck. "Breathe," she said quietly. I nodded. She stepped closer. Not invasive, just close enough for me to feel the quiet weight of her attention. "Most people tense their jaw," she said. "You don't. You hold it in your shoulders." I blinked. "Is that bad?" She tilted her head. "No, it's just real." Her voice was soft, measured, the kind of voice you believe without knowing why. She adjusted the light, moved to another angle. Her movements were efficient, no wasted motion, no unnecessary words. There was something deeply focused about her, like she was tuning into something only she could hear. "Have you done this before?" she asked. "Photos? Not like this." Not like this, she repeated, as if testing the weight of the phrase. Good. She took another photo, then another. After about 45 minutes, she lowered the camera and stepped back. That's enough for today, she said, but didn't move. I stayed standing. She looked at me, really looked, for the first time since I arrived. Her eyes weren't soft or romantic. They were sharp, curious, like she was still working. I want to try something different tomorrow, she said. Okay. Can you come back? Same time. I nodded. Sure. She gave a slight smile, almost imperceptible. Good. Bring nothing but yourself. And don't overthink it. I didn't ask what she meant. Something told me I'd find out soon enough. As I walked out, I felt the silence follow me into the hallway. It didn't feel like a job anymore. It felt like something else was being built, frame by frame, and I wasn't sure if I was the subject or the experiment. I came back the next day like I said I would. Same time, same jeans, same uncertainty. But this time I brought nothing. No bag, no phone, not even my hoodie. I remembered her words. Bring nothing but yourself. The studio door was unlocked. The lights were already on. Clara was sitting on the floor in front of one of the large softboxes, legs crossed, adjusting something on a tripod. She looked up when I stepped in. Not surprised, not welcoming, just acknowledging. You came back, she said simply. You told me to. She smirked. And you listen well. That's rare. I didn't respond. I didn't really know how. I was already more aware of my body than I wanted to be. The way I stood, where my hands went. The air felt warmer today. Or maybe it was just me. She stood and motioned toward the same space as yesterday. The stool was gone now. Just open floor, a plain gray backdrop hanging from a rig behind me. Shoes off, she said. I kicked them off without hesitation. Stand still. She walked around me slowly, testing the angles again. Then she stopped behind the camera, locked her eyes on the viewfinder, and adjusted the focus ring with a deliberate twist. You're still thinking, she said. I exhaled. I guess. That's okay, she added. We'll shake it out. She took a few photos. The shutter wasn't rapid fire, just single clicks, one at a time, like each one mattered. Then she stepped away from the camera, walked toward me, and gently placed her hand on my shoulder. Drop this, she said, pressing down lightly. I relaxed. Good. Again. Another shot. She circled me slowly. Not predatory, not flirtatious, just focused. But I could feel the energy shifting. The air between us was getting thicker, more charged. You're holding back, she said from behind the lens. Holding what? Everything. I laughed under my breath. I guess I'm just not used to this. She tilted her head. Not used to being seen? That hit deeper than I expected. She didn't wait for a response. Then she lowered the camera and walked toward me again. Slower this time. She stopped just a foot in front of me, close enough that I could see a freckle under her left eye and the way her hair was beginning to fall from its knot. Let's try something else, she said, her voice quieter now. I want you to take your shirt off. I blinked. What? She didn't move, didn't repeat herself, just waited. For the lighting, she added after a moment. For the honesty. We can see more when there's less between you and the lens. I hesitated. My heart was beating too fast. It's not about being sexy, she said. It's about being bare, open, real. That's what I'm capturing. Still, I didn't move. She stepped a little closer, and I could smell something soft on her. Citrus, maybe, or tea. Her gaze didn't waver. Her tone stayed calm. Just trust the process, she said. There it was. I swallowed. And then, slowly, I reached for the hem of my shirt and pulled it up over my head. The cotton scraped lightly over my skin. For a second, I felt cold, exposed, and she was still standing right there, just watching, not judging, not even reacting, just watching. "Good," she said softly, then stepped back behind the camera. I stood still, completely still. The shutter clicked again, louder now, or maybe just sharper. "Relax your hands." I did. She changed angles, knelt slightly, looked up through the viewfinder. "You're breathing through your chest. Try the belly." I tried. My muscles tensed anyway. She stood again, stepped in close, and without asking, gently placed her fingertips on the center of my ribcage. "Breathe here." Her touch was light, controlled, but electric. I exhaled slowly, through my nose, letting it go. She stepped back, shot again. "You're doing better than most," she said. I didn't know whether to thank her or ask what that meant. "This isn't about looking good," she added. "It's about letting go of how you want to be seen." I said nothing. The camera clicked again. Then she stepped away from the camera completely, walked over to one of the windows, and pulled the curtain halfway shut. The light changed, softer, angled. She turned back to me. "Lie down." I blinked. "Here?" Yes. There was a simple mat on the floor now. I hadn't noticed it before. I stepped onto it, lowered myself, lay flat on my back. The surface was cool. "Hands at your sides," she said. "Close your eyes." I obeyed. For a few moments, all I could hear was the quiet shifting of her feet, the occasional click of the shutter. Then silence. I opened one eye. She wasn't behind the camera anymore. She was just standing there, watching. "Are we done?" I asked, my voice low. She paused, then said, "That depends." "Are you?" I didn't answer her question right away. "Are you?" she had asked, like it wasn't about the photo shoot anymore, like it never really was. I lay there for a few more seconds, eyes open now, ceiling blurred in my periphery, the weight of her gaze resting somewhere between my collarbones. I could feel it, even without looking. "No," I said quietly. "I don't think I am." She nodded once, barely, like she knew. The silence returned, but it was different this time. Not empty, not waiting. It was full, dense with something unsaid. Then she moved, not toward the camera, not toward the light, but toward me. She stepped slowly across the mat, her bare feet soundless against the floor. And then she did something I didn't expect. She sat down beside me, not close enough to touch, but close enough that I could hear her breathing. Steady, controlled. "I didn't plan to keep going," she said, almost like she was talking to herself. "But you stayed." I turned my head slightly, just enough to see her. Her legs were drawn up loosely, her arms resting on her knees. Her face was calm, but not expressionless. It was the calm you get when you've already made a decision. "I didn't want to break it," I replied. "Whatever this was becoming." Clara looked at me. Her eyes weren't probing anymore. They were present, grounded. "It's not just about images," she said. "Not for me. I mean, yes, the camera's a tool, but the real shot is this." She tapped her temple lightly. "What someone hides, what they forget to cover." I exhaled through my nose. "And how much do people usually show?" "Almost nothing," she said, "until they're seen by accident." That sat with me for a second. Then another. I pushed myself up slowly, resting on one elbow now. She didn't move away. "Have you ever been on the other side?" I asked. She gave a quiet laugh. "Rarely. I don't trust easy." "But you ask others to." She met my eyes. "Exactly." That answer didn't feel defensive. Felt honest. She leaned back on her hands, looking up at the light filtering through the half-drawn curtain. "You surprised me," she said. "How? You didn't perform." I frowned slightly. "I thought that's what I was doing." "No. Most people pose. They flex, smile, harden. You didn't do any of that. You just tried to stay." "I'm not sure if that's bravery or cluelessness." "Doesn't matter," she said. "It worked." For a moment, I thought she might stand, reset, return to the camera. But instead, she reached over slowly, not dramatically, and pulled the light blanket from the nearby chair. She folded it once, laid it out beside me, then sat again, closer this time. The back of her arm brushed mine. Neither of us pulled away. "Tell me something," she said, still watching the light. "Not me. Why did you come back today?" I didn't answer right away. I wasn't even sure myself. "I guess," I started, then stopped. Tried again. "I guess I wanted to be different, even if it was just for a moment." Clara turned her head. Her eyes searched mine, but gently. "You are different," she said. "Already." We sat like that for a while. I wasn't sure how long. The studio had become a world of its own. No clocks, no sounds beyond the creak of old floorboards and the soft pull of breath. Then she asked, "What are you afraid of?" I hesitated. "Now?" She nodded. I swallowed. "That I'll walk out of here and go back to being exactly the same." Her gaze didn't leave mine. "You won't." She said it so simply, so certainly that I believed her. Then came a pause, longer, slower, the kind that makes space for choice. She stood, walked back to the camera, picked it up, not to shoot but to carry it. She brought it back to the mat and set it down beside us. Then she sat again, this time facing me directly, legs crossed, eyes steady. "I'm not going to take another photo," she said. "Not today." I furrowed my brow. "Why not?" "Because what I came here to capture," she said slowly, "I already saw." "And what was that?" She didn't answer, not with words. Instead, she reached for the camera, opened the back, removed the memory card, and placed it in my hand. My fingers closed around it without thinking. I looked down at it, small, fragile, heavy in its own way. "You decide what to do with it," she said. "Keep it, erase it, watch it, or never look at it at all." She stood and walked away, back toward the far end of the studio. Just before she stepped behind the curtain, she stopped, turned halfway toward me. "You didn't break," she said. "Most do." Then she disappeared into the soft shadow of the partition. I sat on the mat, the memory card in my hand, my shirt still off, my breath slow and deep. Something had changed, and I wasn't sure I wanted to undo it. I didn't go straight home that day. Instead, I walked. Nowhere in particular. Just walked. The memory card felt like a stone in my pocket. Not because of its weight, it was almost nothing, but because of what it held, or maybe what it meant. I didn't open it that night, didn't even put it near a computer. I left it on my desk, face down, like some small animal that might wake if disturbed. The next morning, I stayed in bed longer than usual. I was still shirtless when I sat up, stared at the slanted sunlight cutting across my floor. I replayed the session in my mind, second by second. The way her hands moved, the way her voice stayed calm, even when she was breaking through something. And that moment, when she handed me the card, looked me in the eye, and said, "You didn't break," that stayed with me. The next few days passed in fragments. I went to the gym. I made coffee. I answered emails. But everything felt slightly dulled. Not numb, but quieter. Like the volume had been turned down on the noise of life. Then, on the third night, I got a message. It was from Clara. Just a link. No subject line. No text. I hesitated before clicking it. It opened a gallery, private, password protected. Only one image inside. I entered the password she'd given me during our first meeting. Stillness. The page loaded. And there I was. Not posing. Not flexing. Not smiling. Just standing. Bare chest. Head turned slightly. Eyes open, not wide, not squinting, just open. Vulnerable. Unfinished. She had captured something I didn't know I'd shown. The version of me that existed between thoughts. Between performances. I stared at the photo for a long time. I wasn't sure if I liked it. It wasn't flattering. It wasn't stylized. But it was honest. There was a message beneath the image. Just one sentence. You trusted the process. Most people never do. I closed the tab. I didn't delete the photo. Didn't screenshot it either. I just let it be. The next day I texted her. Thank you. She replied a minute later. That's not for me. It's for you. We didn't speak after that. Not right away. But something in me was different now. I started noticing the way light touched skin in the early evening. I paid attention to how people moved when they weren't being watched. I began to carry a small notebook, not to write ideas or tasks, but to catch thoughts before they vanished. And I found myself in the mirror one night, not checking, not judging, just looking. And breathing. For once, that was enough. Weeks passed. Then one afternoon I got a package. No return address. Inside, a print of the photo. But this time it had something extra. A second image. Not of me. Of her. Clara. Sitting on the floor of the studio. Cross-legged. Hair falling loosely. A camera resting in her lap. She wasn't looking at the lens. She wasn't posing. She looked tired. Soft. Real. The back of the print had a short note in her handwriting. Now we're even. I placed both prints on my shelf. Not framed. Just leaning quietly against the wall. Sometimes I glance at them. Not often. But when I do, I remember what it felt like to be seen. To be still. To trust.